We are live. We've already got Alan here. Make sure the stream's good.
Finally, I've been waiting to tell this story.
Hold on. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Make sure that we're good to go here. We've already got 2 likes and nobody even knows what we're about to talk about.
You got a title on it?
I'll take it. All right, what's going on, guys? Obviously, we're in a little bit of a different setting, so this has nothing to do with stock trading. So if you are here to watch me talk about content on penny stocks or trading or anything like that, you can shut it off. Feel free, but I encourage you to stick around because I do have an incredible story. Well, Christian here does have an incredible story to tell. So for those of you who don't know, we're on Instagram too. So if you want to follow him on Instagram, he is cash_here, HERE. And so Christian is actually a really close friend of mine, but he's also our marketing manager for We Trade HQ, which you guys already know about. And he's been just an amazing part of what we've been able to do. But what we also love is the way that Christian just does life. Recently, he's crashed weddings and everything else, and then he just got up this wild and crazy idea to go crash the last Hamilton performance ever by Lin Manuel, and got up and hopped on a plane within a few moments' notice. And I'll just let him tell the rest of the story. So let's go ahead and just start from the beginning. What possessed you to get started with this?
So Lin Manuel Miranda is like my hero, musical hero. So big Hamilton fan, big Lin Manuel fan. So 2 days before the performance, I got my buddy had posted a story on Instagram, and basically it had a picture of Lin. He was at the show. It had it had a video of Lin talking, giving a speech. He was like 15 feet away, and I'm just like so jealous. So I just made a one-off comment on his Instagram story. I just DM'd him, and I was like, "Bro, I can't believe you didn't tell me that you were going to Lin Manuel in Puerto Rico, and I'm from Puerto Rico." So I was just bummed, and so I just made this offhand comment. Literally, he responds back within 5 minutes saying, "I know how you can get to the show. Give me a call." And basically the wheels started turning from there.
So then, so explain your next step. So
Yep.
Why did you even I don't know, what possessed you to just be like, I'm gonna hop on a plane? Actually, you know what? Let's back up, because this wasn't the first part of the story. So you had the balls to crash 2 weddings in one night before this happened, and this was like moments before this happened. So I want to talk about that leading up to this, because I feel like that has a part in it, because that was kind of like a pregame, if you will, to this main event. Yeah. So let's talk about your whole thought process. I feel as if you kind of have that live every moment type of mentality, and that's kind of where this all kind of started. So
okay, that makes sense. So absolutely, the crashing weddings played into this. So the full details are on my Instagram. But with that said, a week prior, I had decided not to crash 1 but 2 weddings. Shout out to Brooke. If she's out there, she was a great sport, but she was the bride. So I decided to crash 2 weddings, and it was one of the craziest things I have done. I was super nervous. It was super it was like a big adrenaline rush, but it was awesome and fun. And so after that, the thrill of that kind of led into this conversation. So crashed 2 weddings in one night. 5 days later, I started having this conversation with my buddy. So immediately, it was never on my mind to crash this Hamilton. He calls me up, and he basically says, he tells me he goes to Hamilton. He's like, if you're serious about going, I can tell you how to get there, how to get in. It's sold out, so you can't get tickets.
It was impossible to get in.
Yeah,
we probably should have said that, but yeah, it was impossible for you to get in no matter what.
So I'm basically just listening. Really didn't think. I thought he was I really didn't think anything of it. I didn't think it was going to turn into anything. But I'm just listening, and he's telling me how he went to the show, paid. He was friends with a donor who had paid tons of money to get tickets and to be at this party, at the after party. And and the show the 2 nights before. And so he pays, he makes a large donation to sort of partner with him to get into the show. And he tells me that as he goes to the show, he's hanging out at intermission. He's leaving intermission, and he says, and the usher is kind of yelling to everybody, don't forget your tickets, because they have a plaza area is where people go out to smoke and to hang out, and there's a bar out there, which is unusual for theater.
Right.
But you have to leave the building and then come back in. So they're saying, don't forget your tickets. So he decides, well, why don't I just try to get back in? Even though he had a ticket, he's like, let me just try to get in without tickets. So that's what he did. Goes through intermission. At the end, he walks through. Nobody asked for his ticket. So he's like, Christian, I'm telling you, all you have to do is show up at intermission and you can walk through. Now, that is the exact point where I'm like, okay, maybe this is a possibility that I can go see Hamilton in like 24 hours. So I'm not yet sold, but I'm like it's piquing my interest a little bit. So I'm like, okay, tell me more. Like, what does it look like? So how would this work if we did this?
You had to plan out a little blueprint of the layout. You had the script to lay out.
It was like Ocean's 11 type planning. So we start talking about it and getting in. Okay, that made sense. We decided you have to play the part. So you got to wear a suit. You got to look nice. Show up towards the end of intermission. We thought that it would be kind of busy, and so. As the rush came, they would just try to get people in because it starts at a certain time. So they would be more apt to let you through. And then you wait till, well, I'll tell you kind of how to play it out. But then I'm starting to hear all this and I'm like, okay, great. So now I'm just poking holes in it. So that made sense. I figured I could get in. He had, so there was a couple other challenges that I wouldn't stand out. So he says, here's some other things to consider. If you go to my office, I've dropped off 3 things for you. First was he dropped off the playbill. So the playbill for the show, that's going to be more like that I was there. Right. So I have the playbill in my hand. He said, I have the ticket that I had from 2 days prior. So it's a different date, but it's a ticket with a seat. So if, as a last resort, if you need to show something, maybe you can show that. And then third, he had an envelope with a logo of the main fund. So the foundation that Lin partnered with and Hamilton partnered with, the Flamboyant Fund, they had an after party after certain shows. So he had that. Those were large donors, and we thought that nobody would question somebody with this envelope because they were a large donor.
Right. Inside
the envelope had actually this wristband, which was for the after party.
He still has it on. This happened on, Sunday night?
So 3 days ago.
Still wearing the wristband.
3 days ago. So now I'm like, okay, I'm going to have the wristband. I'm going to have this envelope. I have the playbill. Now I'm feeling really good about it.
Yeah.
So
let me just because we're going to slow this down a little bit. So just so that we can recap what's happened so far. Christian had a buddy who went to the show, and now he's talking him into how to basically break into this thing scot-free, and without any inclination that Christian can actually do it, he still goes and ups and buys a ticket with minutes to go to really get to the show. And you got there Sunday afternoon, mm-hmm. and the show was Sunday evening, and it's just crazy. You had no idea whether or not this was going to work, but you just up and got into...
Yeah, and I got tickets. I got a plane ticket. I didn't get tickets to the show.
Right. Yeah. You got a plane ticket. Yep. And, oh, my gosh. I don't even... how do you even fathom or explain that to yourself of just hopping on a plane, not knowing whether or not this is actually going to, actually work?
I mean, that was stupid. It was dumb. It was really dumb. I think that... For me, number one, I live in Baltimore and it's really cold. I thought worst case scenario, it would be a great story with great weather, right? At least I can go to the beach, at least I can hang out. So all was not lost. And even if it was an epic fail, I felt like it would just be an awesome story regardless if I would get in. Although I felt confident about that.
Okay.
Right?
All right. So then talk about next steps. So you get there off of the plane, you got your suit, you're ready to go. And then, so talk about like your next steps to getting actually into the show.
Okay, so here was the plan. So this was Friday. The show was Sunday. So I talked to him on Friday, 10 a.m. Booked the flight Saturday, 10 a.m. So I slept on it, booked it Saturday. So the plan was I would fly. My flight would be on Sunday morning. I would take the first flight out. I would then I would arrive in Puerto Rico at 1:45. There was a matinee show that was at 1:30. So I'm like, perfect. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do some recon. So I go at 1:30. Oh, sorry, 1:45 I land. The show's already started. But my thought was if I go straight there from the airport, I can make it by intermission. So I'll be able to sort of like set the stage, see what the deal is, get a little bit comfortable. And my whole thing was I just need confidence. Like the key here is confidence. So I was like, I'll see how it is and I'll get some confidence to make it easier for the night, for the nighttime. So that's exactly what I did. I get there, and this is what's crazy. So I walk there, I'm walking up, and I get there right about 2:45.
Yeah.
And intermission I thought would be around 3 o'clock. As I walk up, there's this long line of people, and my immediate reaction was just to be nervous because I'm like, okay, there's this long line of people. Like, they're making people wait in line, and they're checking IDs. Little did I know that intermission hadn't even let out. Right. It was the people that were at will call were getting their tickets for the night show. So I just walk in the plaza. The plaza's empty. I sit down, and there are tons of cops. So I'm a little bit nervous. There's just tons of cops everywhere, and they don't notice me, but like in my mind, because I'm doing this thing that's just, sketch. Like,
right.
I feel like they're all watching me. So about 15 minutes later, people start coming out for intermission. They go to the bar, they hang out, they walk up to, they're smoking, and then a couple minutes go by, and they are walking in, and nobody's stopping them. Just like my buddy said, nobody's stopping them. Watch a few people come in. I'm like, I got it. Like, this is perfect. So hung out for a little while longer. Everybody went in. Not one person got checked. Now, he had told me that this will play in later, but he had told me, like, I went through the left metal detectors. There was a line in the right metal detectors. I went through the left. Well, I didn't see any metal detectors, but everybody was getting in, passing cops, passing ushers. Nobody said anything. So I was good. And that was at 3 o'clock. The show started at 7:30. So I had a few hours. I was good, had some confidence. I went to the beach, hung out, and just waited.
I saw some pictures that you were taking of the beach. I was pretty jealous. All right, so then you get into the show.
Yes.
And so then what happens? You watch basically the last half of the last Hamilton show that Lin Manuel was in.
Yeah, but I got to tell you how I got in, because how it played out was good.
Okay.
How it played out was good. I was really proud of myself. So... Well, not to pat myself on the back. So here's how it played out. The original plan was to walk through and, if show the playbill, and we didn't think we were going to get stopped. I didn't think I was going to get stopped.
Right.
I was by myself. So I come up, had to time it perfectly because there needed to be people in the plaza. So it needed to be late enough where there were people in the plaza for intermission, because if I was the only one by myself up there, I would have stuck out like a sore thumb.
Right.
And then, but it had to be early enough where they didn't let everybody in and they didn't close the doors. So timed it perfectly. Got up. Show started at 7:30. Intermission. I walk up at 8:55. People are starting to come out. Go right to the bar. There's an outdoor bar. Order 2 drinks. You know why I ordered 2 drinks?
Why did you order?
I ordered 2 drinks because I wanted my hands to be full. So when I'm walking through security, or if anybody asked me for a ticket, I could just have my hands full. I got my playbill, all this stuff. So I ordered 2 drinks. That was on the fly. I decided to do that. And then I walked to the plaza where the people were, and I found 2 guys who were who looked American, and I just started engaging with them. So I started talking with them. Turns out one lived right like 45 minutes from where I live. He's from D.C., right outside of D.C. I just insert myself into their conversation. Make friends with them.
Which is what you're good at anyway.
Yeah, like I don't want to be alone. The whole goal of this whole thing was like never be alone, always be around others to be a part of the crowd.
Right.
So we're talking, we're having a conversation, we hit it off. A couple minutes later, I'm like, we should probably go inside. They're like, yeah, we should go inside. Walk in. I put myself in between the 2 guys. So it was a decent walk. It was like 30-yard walk. Guys in front of me, guys behind me, they're talking to each other, but it looks like I'm a part of the conversation.
Right.
So it looks like we're all together. Go up to the door, nobody asks for anything, just like I saw earlier. Open the door, and I'm in the middle of the lobby. I'm not in the theater. And so I look to the right, and there's security. That's where the metal detectors were. And so I was a little nervous at that point. Walking right behind this guy that I was talking to, they check his ticket. And I was like, oh my gosh, have my two beers, 2 drinks. They check his ticket, and then as they check his ticket, I just push up right behind him, and I'm like kind of fumbling and just walk through. They didn't say anything. So I get right in. Boom, I'm in. Super excited. And then I just leave them. The original plan was he had a lower level seat in the orchestra. I was going to go to the lower level. And just stand. It was just going to be, obviously somebody purchased his ticket, so I was just going to stand. And then if they said anything, I would just wait out in the hallway and wait by the bar until the last song, because all I wanted really was the last song. So I went to do that. Unfortunately, there was like a stanchion, and people were kind of checking ID. They weren't checking, but there were people there. It would be obvious. So I tried to enter a different door, and it was like the top of the orchestra. So I wasn't even anywhere near where the seat would be. So I had to abort that, and I go straight upstairs, go upstairs to the upper level balcony, and I wait till I purposely waited till the end of the first song, beginning of the second song, because they don't want you to sit in the middle of a song. So it would have been normal if I would have been standing. Right. So I go to the second level. I wait till the second song, open the door, and I'm waiting by the door, and immediately an usher walks right next to me. And he's standing right next to me, and I can just feel him looking at me. So he stands next to me, song goes through, plays another song, and then he's like, you sitting, you kind of acknowledge to me, and we're kind of whispering at that point. And I tell him, I'm waiting for a phone call. I'm sorry, I got to step out. So he's Hawkeyeing me. Let that song play. He didn't say anything. He was cool with my response, but he wasn't leaving. So he's Hawkeyeing me, and I decide I've got to bail. So I leave, stay out in the lobby for a while, but I'm the only person in the lobby. So that's weird. You paid for Hamilton, but you're in the lobby.
Right.
So I have to quick think of something to do. So I go around to the other side, enter in there. We're at the fourth song now of the second intermission, the second act. Walk in, nobody says anything. Watch the rest of the show from the balcony up until the last song.
Oh my God. All right, so you successfully got into the last half of the show, but that's not the end of the story here. So you guys saw the title, that he was a party crasher.
Yeah.
There's an after party to this thing. So Christian successfully flies down to Puerto Rico on a whim, gets into the show, but he wasn't done there. There's an after party that included all of the cast members, including Lin Manuel, and so Christian actually was able to infiltrate that as well.
Why stop there?
Yeah, so, once you get this far, I guess, you might as well just keep on going, as far as Gump would say. So, tell us about that. So, you're sitting there, the show's over, and so now what?
Yeah, so I'm at the balcony. I remember I have tickets for the orchestra, so the second to last song, once the second to last song ends and they're about to begin the last song, I then walk down to orchestra level. I walk down there. By that time, I have to walk through probably 50 camera crew, 50 people that are part of different camera crews, different radio stations, because they all want to see Lin Manuel, who's from Puerto Rico, see his curtain call or whatever. Walk through, open the door to the orchestra, and literally it's just lined with staff and reporters. And so I just sneak in. I just stand in between them, blend in. Nobody says anything. So I'm 7 rows from the stage, his final performance, and the curtain call. This is it was incredible. So they do the last song. They do a curtain call. Nobody leaves. Everybody's chanting. And then he comes out just solo. Bows, and so then it's over, right? People are hanging out, still milling around. My buddy had given me this bracelet where he said there's this after party for the Flamboyant Fund, the fundraiser.
Right.
And so he said that what will happen is at the end, go to the seat. Everybody's going to leave. They're going to there's a note in the envelope that says, "Stay in the seat since you're VIP. Somebody will come get you after the show and walk you up to the VIP party on the second level." So the plan was for me to then, when the show ended, people start filtering out, I would go to a seat and sit down and then wait. Well, what I had found out in the midst of this whole process, I talked to one of the bartenders, and I had mentioned, like, "Hey, do you get to go to the party or anything?" He's like, "Yeah, I mean, I'm going to try, but I don't know. I don't know if I can go to the museum." I'm like, "What do you mean museum? Isn't it upstairs?" He's like, "Oh, no. That party's not tonight. Tonight is the cast, the final cast party, like the closing party for the cast, and then they invited special guests. That's across the street at the museum." I'm like, "Okay." Well, I didn't think there was any chance to get in, but whatever. So I stick to the plan. I go to my seat. There's about 150 people who basically are just standing there, just waiting. Then somebody comes in that works with, I guess, a production company, and they're like, "Thank you all for coming. We're going to take a group picture." I'm in the middle of this group picture. 150 of us pack in this theater, and all of a sudden, everybody goes crazy. Like, there's like 15 minutes later, everybody's going crazy as we're about to take this picture. Lin Manuel walks up, and he's like 5 rows in front of me. He walks up, and he's taking this picture with us. He gives a speech. "Thank you so much." Apparently, the group I was with were winners of this like lottery. Like, they just randomly picked people to be a part of it, to be a part of this experience. And so we take the picture, and then they say, "Thank you for participating. In a few minutes, we're going to walk over to the museum." So I forgot to say, so this is like a shiny, gold wristband just plain. My whole thing was like, I wanted to look for wristbands because we thought that it was going to be the same wristband. Well, the people that had wristbands couldn't have had a different wristband than this. It had the black Hamilton logo all over it. So I'm like, okay, this is not the same wristband. Somebody's going to say something.
Right.
So I pull down my sleeve, and I'm just standing in the middle of the pack, and I start talking to groups. And so they walk us down. They walk us down into like the basement, and then we walk 3 to 5 blocks to get over to the party. And we're waiting outside for 20 minutes. And I walk up, and I'm talking to these 2 girls that had won, whatever the lottery was. They're like, "Oh, you won too?" I'm like, "Yeah, I won. It's so exciting." They're like, "You didn't bring somebody?" I'm like, "Nah, they couldn't come." So we wait. The cast comes in, and everybody's just standing outside this museum waiting to get in. They finally let us in after probably a good 30 minutes, and I'm in the back. I'm looking up front, and there are 4 security guys, a couple cops at the entrance, and then once you get to the doors, there are 2 security guys basically holding the door open, looking at wristbands, 2 more telling you to go through the, basically telling you to get rid of your metal, to go through the metal detector, 2 more after that, giving your stuff back, and then 2 more after that.
Right.
And I'm like, there's no way I'm getting through. And of course, I walk up, talking to these girls, try to like shimmy through, and the one woman that's at the door, the security woman goes, that's not the right wristband. Like, this is not the right wristband.
Right.
And so I just played dumb, and I'm like, I'm busted. I figured I'd get busted. And so she says, "That's not the right wristband." And so I go, "Well, this is what they gave me." I showed her the envelope, and the guy that was across from her was basically like, "Well, where'd you get it?" I go, "Well, it was given to me like for the foundation. This is where I was supposed to go. Look at the note." And he's like, "Okay, let me get the director out." So I think it's shot. But my whole thought process was, they didn't let me in, but they didn't kick me out. Right. So, like, I'm not leaving until somebody says, "Sir, you need to go home."
Right.
So, at this time, I've already seen Hamilton. I've already accomplished my goal. Anything else is icing on the cake.
Which, by the way, guys, just to recap, you can find all of this footage. This is actually real. We're not, making this up. Go to Christian's Instagram. It's at cash, CASH_HERE. So cash_here. On Instagram, it's all there on his story. So you go check that out as you're following along with Christian's story.
My story highlights.
It's all there. It's all there. So, all right, keep going. So the security guard's coming back out.
Yeah, so I'm waiting. So now I'm waiting. He said somebody's going to come, and I'm like, what am I going to say to this person?
Right.
as I'm waiting, the only other non-police security outside are these 3 women, 2 of which have wristbands, 1 don't. And I overhear them talking, and the security guy was also talking to them and asking what the deal was. They're like, she's supposed to have a wristband, she doesn't, she's with us.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, what agencia are you with? Agency in Spanish. So what company? And they're like, Bank of America. So I file that in the back of my mind. I wait for an hour. They're waiting for an hour. A guy comes out, passes me, and you could tell he's just an important person. He walks right by me, right to them, and he's asking them, who are you with? They're like, Bank of America, blah, 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 blah. He's like, okay, let me check. Goes back inside. Another 15-minute passes, and finally this other guy comes out, a different guy, and says, they're good, let him in. They go in. So now it's just, I'm the only person left
standing
outside.
There.
Right? Almost an hour and a half in. So I almost give up. Like literally, I turn around to walk away, and the woman's like, caballero, and like calls my attention. She's like, who'd you say? Who are you with? And I said, Bank of America. Bank of America. Like, okay, we're going to see if you're on the list. I'm like, yeah, I should, And so I wait for a little longer. Nobody comes out. Finally, this woman comes out with a drink in her hand, dressed to the nines. Clearly, like, this was partying, was having fun.
Yeah.
Comes out, walks up to me, and she's like, what's going on? I explained to her. I said, hey, my buddy got me this. This guy got the wristband. I got all this stuff. They're telling me it's the wrong wristband. I don't know. She says, well, Bank of America? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, he works for Bank of America. What's his name? Fernando Gazos. And then, I say his name. So Fernando lives in Puerto Rico. He's a football teammate of mine from college. So he doesn't work for Bank of America. He was just the name that came to mind, in Puerto Rico. Right. And I'm like, Fernando Gonzalez. And so I say his name, and she's like, okay. She takes a second to think. And then she turns to the security guard, and she's like, she's okay. He's okay. She's like, you can come in? He can come in. I'm in. Officially in
this
to
is
the party.
This is like the ultimate night. Was this not the night of your life or what?
So it was by far the greatest night of my life. And if it would have ended there, that would have been enough. That would have been enough. But it didn't end there. It gets better.
Okay.
So now I'm in. I'm in this party that everybody's dressed to the nines, open bar, top shelf, food, the nicest food you can have, and like a live band. Everybody's just having fun. And it took me about an hour and a half, at least an hour and a half to get in. So now everybody's a little bit feeling themselves. Right. So everybody's dancing, having fun. I'm enjoying myself. 15 minutes pass, and I'm just realizing, like, I saw all of the cast go in, but I haven't seen them here at this party. So where are they? So I take a stroll around, go to the second level, mezzanine, can't find them. Around. So I go back down to the first level, and around back, there's this big door, and there's a security guy that keeps opening it. So there's another bar, like a separate private bar, that people are filtering in and out of. And so that's where the cast was. And now I know, I didn't know at the time, but they were letting people kind of go through and meet and greet for a certain amount of time. So I walk into that private room. Now I'm with the cast, right? And a bunch of people. There's hundreds of people in there at this time. Yeah. So not hundreds. So there's probably 100 people in there. So I go in there. So I'm in this private room. I keep walking. I go into this there's like a smaller room that's like a 10 by 20 room that I walk into. 15 people in there, long, narrow room. There's 2 high-top tables, and at the end, there's a bench, the width of the room. Sitting in that bench is Lin Manuel Miranda. Less than 20 feet from me. Less than 20 feet. And I just stumbled in. I didn't even see him. I'm like, oh, there's people in this private room. And I see him. He's sitting on the bench. He's with, I think it had to be his father. So he's sitting there with his father, and they're just chopping it up. People are like trying to talk to him, but nobody's letting him talk, and he's just enjoying himself. So I get in the room with Lin Manuel Miranda,
the man,
the man.
Yeah.
So there's literally 20 people in this room at the time. Only 5 were like fans. So it was like this group of his father and I guess it was his 4 kids. And they just wanted something signed. Right. So Lin's PR person, I guess, said something to him. He comes up. They're standing in front of me. So now Lin is 2 feet away from me. I actually have a picture. This is on my IG, my story highlights. There's a picture of him looking right at me, and I just kind of take a picture. So he's right next to me. Takes the pictures, signs an autograph. The PR person ushers them out. The only people that are left, other than myself, are 15 people that are that are either active cast members or production crew.
So at this point, you're just part of the entourage.
I'm part of the entourage, and I'm staying real low key. So I'm trying to decide, like, do I say something to him or do I not say something to him? And so I decided I'm just going to sit right here and I'm just going to be a fly on the wall. And that's what I did. I sat there. They ushered the fans out. I'm like kind of on my phone, and the guy who played Aaron Burr, who's like the second lead, he was a real cool guy. He was like sitting across from me, so I started chopping it up with him. Remember, like, never be by yourself.
Right.
So I'm starting to talk to him. He probably thinks that I'm with somebody there, right? The PR person who's kicking everybody out probably thinks I'm with him. So I'm just like, where are you from? He's like, LA. He's telling me these stories. And so she ends up getting everybody out, and she shuts the door. And I'm with them.
Oh my God.
Just hanging out. And they're like toasting and like celebrating. And it was only... no more than 20 minutes that I'm in there hanging out.
But still.
In this room, and I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't. It was unbelievable.
That's crazy.
And so we hang out. We end up, they end up doing their thing, cheers and toasting, like, this is over. And so then they go into, they open the door back up, go into that, still the private room, but the room with the rest of the cast and crew. And which I go back out as well into that room. At that time, it was only cast and crew I didn't know.
Right.
And so I'm talking to somebody. She ends up being a crew member, stagehand, who's in San Francisco. We're talking. And I made my one fatal mistake that time. So I'm in. Right now I'm in. She had these pins, these lapel pins, 2 lapel pins, and I wanted to buy one, and I couldn't. So I had said, I don't want to be that guy, but, like, can I buy that? Like, I really wanted one. Can I buy it off of you? I'll pay, whatever.
Right.
Rookie move. She was cool about it, but she basically said, you can get them on eBay. They're all over the place. But that just like put me out there.
Right.
No sooner did a security guy come around and said to her, hey, is everybody with you? And he's like, is anybody not with the cast and crew? And she like leans over, and I know she said he's not. So he immediately comes to me and he's like, are you with cast and crew? I was like, no. She said, oh, you got to go to the main party. So I didn't get kicked out of the building, but I got kicked out of the private cast and crew party.
But you still got to hang out at the party for the rest of the night.
Rest of the night, closed the place down. It was the perfect ending to the most incredible event of my life.
That is crazy, man. That is crazy. All right, so then, like, what's the moral of the story here? So,
confidence is key.
Okay, confidence is key, but why did you do this?
So, I'm one of those people that, like, I'm big on experiences. I don't do a lot of material stuff. I'm more about experiences and stories. Like, I'm all about memories and stories and being able to tell a story. And I just did it, number one, because I knew that was the last time Lin would ever play Hamilton. And Hamilton may go down as one of the greatest musicals of all time.
Right.
Like, it's already in conversation as one of the top ones. So I'm like, not only will I've seen it before, but I've never seen him play it. I get to see the person who created it, who arguably is one of the greatest minds of our generation. I got to see him play his last show in Puerto Rico, his hometown, my hometown. Like, everything about it was just the most incredible story. And I mean, I would have paid for it, but like, it was sold out. Just to say that, just the story to tell. I mean, I'll tell my grandchildren.
Right.
They'll hate it. I'll tell it so many times. Like, yeah, I know. And then the room glows. I get it, Grandpa. But for those type of memories, like, I just wanted to say I at least gave it a shot. Like, there was that small chance. If there was a small chance I could see Lin perform his last one, I was going to take that chance.
Yeah.
And it just so happened to work out.
That is awesome.
And then some.
That is great. That is like, I don't know. I don't know if I could have that kind of confidence, to be honest with you.
I don't know. I didn't know I would have that confidence. Like, I'm a fairly confident person, but I was nervous. Like, just like the wedding, I hadn't felt those butterflies since I had played sports in college. Like, I was legitimately nervous, but then the flip side of that is when you do it, you have this adrenaline rush that's almost like you want to seek that again.
Right.
And so that, I don't know if I could have done it if I hadn't crashed that wedding the week prior. I think that gave me sort of the courage to and the confidence to be able to do it.
Right. That's amazing, man. Well, what a story. I still can't believe it. Like, I was texting him back and forth when all of that was going on, and I just couldn't believe what was actually happening. I got all the pictures that you'll see on Instagram, and like I was getting them, and I was just texting him right back, like, what the hell is going on? Like, I can't believe you're doing this. And it was just an amazing thing. So just to kind of top this all off before we get any kind of hate mail or anything like that, Christian already said that he plans on donating to the charity, or it was a charity,
the
right?
Flamboyant
So the fund that, all the proceeds from the plays that were down in Puerto Rico were going to. So he's already planning on making a donation there. I'm actually going to put a link in the description as well if you're interested in donating to that fund too. And that is it. Look, I know this probably wasn't something that you're interested in per se, just because of the basis of this channel, but I wanted to give a platform for Christian to just kind of tell his story, and just kind of leave it at that. Do you have anything else that you want to add, Christian?
No, I just want to reiterate. So it's a Flamboyant Fund, and I'm donating basically the value of what the face value of a ticket. This wasn't about running a scheme, right, like scheming the system or getting something for free. But I do encourage people look into the fund. It's an arts fund for Puerto Rico. It goes to a really good cause, and I would encourage as many people to donate if you can.
All right. Well, there you have it, guys. There's how to crash a party. I'm sure he'll give you. There's plenty of instructions on Instagram how to crash weddings too. So I'm sure he'll probably drag me into something like that one day. But thanks for tuning in, guys. Again, this was just something for fun. It had nothing to do with stock trading. But I will be seeing you during the midday market recap tomorrow. So signing off. See you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.